Every minute of every day, someone somewhere is hurting. A child gets sick, a family loses their home. A good person gets a terrible diagnosis. Pain is a universal language, a constant part of being human. But for the billions of people who believe in a loving, all-powerful God, this creates a profound and deeply personal question: why? If God is so great, why doesn't he stop it? This isn't just some casual question. For many, it's the single greatest challenge to their faith. This question is at the heart of what philosophers call the problem of evil. It's a logical puzzle that's been debated for centuries, and it goes something like this. If God is all-powerful, he could get rid of all suffering. If God is all good, he would want to get rid of all suffering. And yet suffering and evil are everywhere. So, what gives? How can you have an all-powerful God, an all-good God, and a world filled with so much pain and suffering, all at the same time? It's a tension so strong it can feel like a contradiction, and it leads many to conclude that a loving God must not exist. Today, we're not going to offer you easy platitudes or simple answers. Instead, we're going to look this question right in the eye and explore one of the most common and maybe most uncomfortable answers ever proposed. When we're faced with pain, our first instinct is to try and make sense of it. If you look across different cultures and religions, you'll find all kinds of attempts to explain this shared experience. In Hinduism, for instance, suffering is often understood through the idea of karma. It's seen as the natural result of your actions in a past life, a way of balancing a cosmic debt. From this view, suffering isn't pointless. It's a necessary step on the soul's journey. Buddhism teaches that suffering, or dukkha, is just a fundamental part of life, and it comes from our attachments and desires. So, the solution isn't asking why a God allows it, but to find enlightenment by letting go of the desires that cause it. In Islam, suffering is often seen as a test from Allah, a way to purify someone and give them a chance to show their faith. Now, the Abrahamic traditions, like Judaism and Christianity, struggle with this in a different way. They talk about a God who is both deeply personal and completely in control, which creates a really intense paradox. Jewish thought especially has wrestled with this for thousands of years, particularly after historical tragedies that just defy any simple explanation. The focus often lands on staying faithful and trusting God, even when his reasons are a mystery. All these different perspectives show that we are not the first people to ask this question. And while the explanations are all different, they point to the same basic human need, to believe that our pain isn't just random and meaningless. But one answer, one specific idea, stands out in the debate as the most prominent and the most controversial explanation of them all. Across many traditions, but especially in Christian philosophy, the heart of the answer comes down to two words: free will. The argument is called the free will defense, and it was sharpened by philosophers like Alvin Plantinga. It suggests that God's top priority for creation wasn't a world without pain, but a world where real love and goodness could exist. And, for love to be real, it has to be a choice. Think about it. An all-powerful God could have made us like puppets, programmed only to do good things. In that world, there'd be no crime, no cruelty, no evil, but there'd also be no love, no courage, no compassion, no justice. To be quite honest, no nothing. None of those virtues mean anything if we aren't free to choose their opposites. A robot following its programming isn't being good, it's just being compliant. The philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre touched on this when he said, "The man who wants to be loved does not desire the enslavement of the beloved. If the beloved is transformed into an automaton, the lover finds himself alone." From this perspective, God wanted a real relationship with beings who could genuinely love him and each other. He didn't want the proverbial yes man. To do that, he had to give us what's called morally significant freedom, the real, actual ability to choose between good and evil. But by giving us that choice, God also took on the risk that we'd choose wrong. He couldn't make creatures capable of real good without also making them capable of real evil. So the existence of evil isn't a sign that God failed. It's the necessary, tragic consequence of his greatest gift to us, our freedom, our free will. That's the uncomfortable truth. The very thing that makes love possible is the very thing that makes pain and suffering possible. This free will defense gives us a framework for understanding what theologians call moral evil, all the suffering that comes directly from human choices. War, cruelty, betrayal, greed, these are the tragic results of free will being misused. God allows it because the only alternative, taking away our freedom, would destroy the very possibility of love and turn us into something less than human. But what about the other kind of suffering? What about natural disasters, diseases, or genetic disorders? This natural evil doesn't seem to be a direct result of any one person's choice. Some theologians stretch the free will argument to cover this too. They suggest that the first human rebellion against God, what Christians call the fall, broke the very fabric of creation. In this view, the world we live in is a fallen one, full of decay and chaos, not because God made it that way, but as a consequence of that original choice, that original use of free will. And yet even with all these explanations, we're still left with the raw, gut-wrenching reality of pain that feels completely unfair and pointless. Alvin Plantinga's defense shows that God and evil aren't a logical contradiction, but that doesn't do much to soothe the emotional weight of a child's suffering or the despair of a senseless tragedy. It doesn't answer every single why. It doesn't tell us why this specific bad thing was allowed to happen. And this is where the conversation has to take a turn. We are deep in one of the heaviest questions anyone can ask, and there really are no easy answers. I'm genuinely curious to hear what you think about all this. What brings you comfort or a sense of clarity when you think about pain and suffering? Share your perspective in the comments below. And if you find these kinds of conversations valuable, please consider subscribing so you don't miss what's coming next. If God allows suffering for the sake of free will, does that mean he's just a distant observer, watching from afar while the world falls apart? This is where the Christian faith offers a radical, almost startling answer. God isn't distant from our pain and suffering. He enters directly into it. The central symbol of Christianity isn't a throne, it's a cross. It teaches that God, in the person of Jesus Christ, chose to experience the worst of human suffering, betrayal, humiliation, agony, and even feeling completely abandoned by God. This doesn't make our pain disappear, but it completely reframes it. It suggests a God who doesn't just understand suffering as an idea, but who has felt it from the inside himself. He doesn't offer neat answers from a distance. Instead, he offers his presence right in the middle of our mess. The belief here is that suffering can become a tool for sanctification, a process that builds character, perseverance, and hope in a way that might not be possible otherwise. On top of that, many faiths hold on to a deep hope that our pain and suffering here and now isn't the end of the story. Christianity, for example, promises a future where God wipes away every tear, where death and pain will be gone forever. This hope doesn't deny how real and awful our pain is right now, but it places it inside a bigger redemptive story. It suggests that our suffering, while agonizing, is temporary, but the peace that's coming is in fact eternal. The story doesn't end with a broken world, but with a new creation, and suffering is part of the raw, messy middle of that story. We started with the question, why would a good God allow pain and suffering? We've seen that the most profound answers all seem to circle back to the incredible value of free will. A freedom that makes love possible, but also opens the door to devastating pain. We've seen that faith doesn't always promise an explanation for every tear, but instead offers the presence of a God who suffers with us and promises that one day everything will be made right. But maybe, just maybe, all of this pushes us to ask a different, more urgent question. If we can accept that we live in a world where our choices really and truly matter, where we've been given this incredible and dangerous gift of free will, then the focus has to shift. It has to move away from trying to figure out the mind of God and toward looking at our own hearts and hands. The question is no longer just, why does God allow suffering? It's, what will we do with our freedom in a world that suffers? How will we respond to the pain we see in others? Will we use our freedom to create more brokenness, or will we use it to bring healing, comfort, and justice? Perhaps the point of suffering isn't something we figure out, but something we respond to. It's found in every act of kindness, every moment of selfless love, every choice to create good in the face of pain. Instead of asking why God allows suffering, maybe the real question is this: what good will we create with the freedom we've been given? As always, we sincerely hope this video about why God allows suffering resonated with you, and if it did, please watch it again and again. Share it with family and friends, share it with those who suffer, share it with those who seek eternal life. A like, a share, or subscribe from you pushes Gone Gospel out to those in need. Please share your thoughts below, as we would absolutely love to hear from you. Subscribe, especially if you're a believer or a seeker. Gone Gospel is here for you. We'll let you know when we have another piece of the divine puzzle to share.